All right, folks, buckle up, because today we are diving into some spicy claims.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever heard the idea that the more educated a woman is,
Okay.
the more likely she is to get divorced?
That's an interesting one.
It sounds a little wild, right?
Yeah, it does raise an eyebrow.
Well, that's exactly what Royce White,
Hmm.
GOP Senate candidate in Minnesota, is saying.
Wow.
We're talking full-blown, educated women make bad wives territory.
Okay.
And get this.
Yeah.
He prefers women to get their education through the church.
Interesting.
Now, we're not here to judge.
Right.
But this is some pretty provocative stuff, wouldn't you say?
It certainly is.
So don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know what you think in the comments below.
Yes, please do.
We're dissecting an article from the Daily Beast that covers White's interview
Okay.
on a show hosted by far-right Christian preacher named Jesse Lee Peterson.
Oh, right. Jesse Lee Peterson.
That's right.
It's worth noting that Peterson himself has some pretty strong views on women.
Oh, really?
He's openly against women's suffrage
Wow.
and believes they shouldn't be educated.
Oh, juicy. So, we're seeing a particular slant to this conversation.
Yeah, you could say that.
And White doesn't hold back.
Okay.
He drops this gem.
Uh-huh.
If you're a man who wants to get married and end up divorced, an educated woman statistically would probably not be a good idea. Now, I don't know about you,
Yeah.
but I'm smelling some statistical shenanigans here.
Yeah, and you'd be right to be skeptical.
Okay.
Interestingly, a recent study from the Bureau of Labor Statistics actually contradicts White's claim.
Wait, so the data says the opposite?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The BLS study found that women with higher levels of education are actually less likely to get divorced.
Okay, so we've got a bold claim that flies in the face of actual data.
It seems that way.
Makes you wonder what's really going on here, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Is this a genuine belief? A strategic move to appeal to a specific voter base?
It's hard to say for sure. But what we can say is that this kind of rhetoric, whether intentional or not,
Right.
can have a real impact on how we view women and their role in society.
Right. If you're constantly hearing that educated women are destined for divorce,
Uh-huh.
it could make some women hesitate about pursuing higher education,
Yeah.
or even make them feel judged for their choices.
Exactly. It reinforces harmful stereotypes
Wow.
and potentially undermines the progress we've made toward gender equality.
And it's interesting to consider this in light of who White is running against.
Okay.
Amy Klobuchar.
Right, Amy Klobuchar.
And not only is she a Yale and University of Chicago Law School grad,
Wow.
but she's also been happily married for over 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Talk about a talking counterexample to White's claims.
It certainly paints a different picture, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah. What's interesting here is that the BLS study dug a little deeper and looked at different factors that might contribute to divorce rates.
Okay.
And one of the things they found was that economic stability actually plays a bigger role than education level.
So it's not about being educated or not, but about having a stable foundation for a relationship.
Exactly. When couples are struggling financially, it can put a lot of strain on their relationship, regardless of how much education they have.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And, it makes me think about the bigger picture here.
Okay.
Are we still clinging to these outdated ideas about gender roles where the woman's education is somehow a threat to the stability of a marriage?
It's a question worth asking, especially when you consider White's choice of platform for this interview.
Right.
Jesse Lee Peterson's show is known for its conservative, often controversial viewpoints.
Yeah.
It seems like White might be playing to a very specific audience with these statements.
It's like he's trying to tap into a certain nostalgia for a time when things were simpler, where women stayed home and men were the breadwinners.
Yeah.
But that's not the reality for most families today.
You're right, and it's a dangerous game to play because it ignores the real challenges that families are facing, like economic inequality, access to affordable childcare, and the need for both partners to contribute financially.
And by perpetuating these outdated stereotypes, it almost feels like we're taking a step backward instead of moving forward.
Right.
It's like saying, hey, ladies, you can get an education, but don't be surprised if it ruins your chances of finding a husband.
Yeah, it's a message that could resonate with a certain segment of the population, but it's not one that reflects the values of equality and progress.
So what does this all mean for voters in Minnesota?
Well,
They're essentially faced with a choice between two very different visions of what it means to be a woman in today's society.
it's a stark contrast.
Yeah.
On one hand, you have White, who seems to be advocating for a more traditional perhaps even restrictive view of women's roles.
Okay.
And on the other hand, you have Klobuchar, who embodies the idea that women can be successful in both their personal and professional lives.
It's a reminder that elections aren't just about policies and platforms. They're also about values and visions for the future.
And it's up to each individual voter to decide which vision aligns with their own beliefs and aspirations.
This whole discussion brings up a bigger question. What does it even mean to be a good wife in this day and age?
Right.
It's a concept that's definitely evolved over time.
Yeah, for sure.
And honestly, it probably means something different to every individual.
That's true.
Right? It's not like there's some universal checklist that you can tick off.
No.
Is it about supporting your partner's ambitions? Being a nurturing presence in the home?
Yeah.
Or is it more about building a partnership based on mutual respect and shared goals?
I think it's a combination of all those things and more.
Right.
But the key is that it should be a definition that both partners agree on,
Yeah.
not something that's imposed by societal expectations or outdated stereotypes.
Exactly. It's about finding what works for you and your partner,
Right.
regardless of what anyone else says.
Yeah.
And honestly, having a good education can only help in that department.
Absolutely. Education empowers you to think critically, communicate effectively, and make informed decisions,
Wow.
all of which are pretty valuable skills to have in any relationship.
So maybe instead of worrying about whether education makes you a bad wife,
Yeah.
we should be celebrating the fact that women have access to the same opportunities as men and encouraging them to pursue their dreams.
Now that's a message I can get behind.
Well, folks, it looks like we've reached the end of our deep dive.
It has been a good one.
We've covered some pretty thought-provoking territory today, haven't we?
Yeah, we have.
From questionable statistics to evolving gender roles, it's clear that there's a lot to unpack when it comes to education, marriage, and societal expectations.
For sure.
What are your takeaways from this conversation?
I'd love to know.
What factors do you think contribute to successful relationships? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into topics that matter. Until next time, stay curious,